Claire, we just wanted to do this quick video for you to walk you through the assessment for the TAELN 501 unit. Let me know if you haven't been able to find this PDF, and I'll shoot it through to you again. But the unit is comprised of this PDF, and you can go into Moodle and answer it directly into Moodle. There's the short answer quiz section there, but what you can also do is just download this PDF. I may have already emailed it to you, I just can't remember. If I haven't, just shoot me through a message and I'll make sure I email it through. But essentially, you're going to be filling this out, and then you're going to be adding some extra evidence at the very end, and I'll explain that as we go through. So the front page here, make sure you fill this out. So name of candidate is you, email, your deal, and address, all these details here. Make sure you sign it. And we do suggest that you sign it at the very end, because we do find that sometimes with these PDFs, if you sign them too early, it can lock up the document. So you may want to sign that at the very end, okay? And also what I do suggest is, if you're going through this and you're answering the questions, I do recommend that people have a Word document available, and they copy and paste their answers into a Word document as well, just in case that anything happens or anything goes wrong with your answers, if that makes sense, okay? So let's jump into it. Okay, there are two components. There's the knowledge questions, and then there's the practical tasks and the projects. Okay, and as we come down, let's scroll down a little bit. You can read this in your own time and in your own leisure. All right, so let me walk you through the questions. So question one here, knowledge question one. When developing an LN program, you must consider its purpose. Provide at least 3 examples of how purpose might relate to LN development process. So essentially, this is thinking about if you are working with a student and you're putting together a program, how would you make sure that you had clear objectives and purpose behind everything that you did? So if I was approaching this question, I would probably look at maybe putting in 3 scenarios. So putting in 3 different learners that you can hypothetically think of, and then think about, okay, well, how is purpose and objective really important for those scenarios? Okay, so maybe it's a learner without reading challenges. Well, what's the purpose behind supporting that learner? Okay, just think about a little bit of a scenario around defining the purpose and the outcome for that learner. Okay, coming down, we've got question 2. Based on the current research from this organisation, what percentage of Australians sit at or below level 3 literacy, and provide the current percentages for all 5 levels? Okay, so that just involves watching that video and noting the statistics that are provided in video. Okay, shouldn't be too hard. If you get stuck on the link or it doesn't work, just shoot us through a message. All right, question 3. The development of LN requires that not only a program's purpose be considered, but also its context. Explain how context, as indicated below, can affect language levels. So how the choice of linguistic style is affected by roles and relationships. So just with that one, think about how a role, like a work role, would shape linguistic style and choice within the workplace. And I think that's the best way to think about it. If you were training someone up to be effective in the workplace, what kind of linguistic style would be required for that role? Okay, and just pop in a couple of examples and counter examples, so to speak. Maybe informal language versus formal language. Okay, how levels of formality are affected by factors such as age, role, and ethnicity. Again, so we got formality. So think about a situation where formality is really pronounced, and then think about maybe a situation where it's not pronounced. So for example, a city environment versus an urban environment. and versus a rural environment, those kind of things. Okay, and maybe age, think about like younger people, less formal, older people more formal, those kind of things. All right, how meaning making relies on linking to context. Okay, so if I was going to go to Google and research this one, I would probably type in context dependent language, or how does context shape language, or how does context create meaning in conversation. Okay, so those are the kinds of things that you could Google. How people may be more proficient in some contexts and less in others. Okay, so if you want to Google something, you could Google domain theory. You could think about in your own life, where are some areas that you feel more proficient in terms of communication, and other areas where you feel less proficient in communication. Okay. So question 4, there are a range of issues faced by most industries when analyzing the LLN requirements of a training specification or learning situation. Give at least 4 examples with a brief explanation of each. Okay. There are a range of issues faced by most industries when analyzing the LLN requirements of a training specification or learning situation. Give at least 4 examples with a brief explanation of each. Okay. So this one could immediately when I read this question, what comes to mind is the expectations on the job. Okay, and so what level of learning, reading, writing, oral communication, numeracy would be expected on the job site. Okay, another one could be what would be the requirements across different industries. Okay, and then another one could be, okay, maybe at different companies you've got different expectations, and maybe another one is that in training you may provide reasonable adjustment, but on the work site maybe reasonable adjustment can't be provided. Maybe technology and technology availability is an issue. Okay, so we're just looking for you to think broadly about the topic of language literacy and numeracy at the industry level, and that kind of thing. Question 5, explain the purpose of the ACSF performance indicators to give an example of how they are applied. So what I suggest that you do is go to Google and type in ACSF performance indicators, ? And see what comes up, all right? You can also go directly to the ACSF, and it's going to have an explanation for you about the performance indicators, when they're used, how they're used, and certainly you can go to YouTube as well for answering that question, because there'll be quite a few videos talking about the ACSF, all right? Coming down, question 6, discuss how and why privacy legislation must be considered when dealing with LLN issues. Okay, so this is certainly related to people's self-esteem, emotional safety. Certainly, it's related to people's how do I put this, personal details as they are enrolling as well. So we need to be very careful as facilitators and instructors and trainers to make sure that we don't divulge LLM challenged people's information to the broader class, to the broader community, because that's certainly private information that we need to, I guess, keep close to ourselves, and also like due to privacy legislation, but also just to show respect for the learners as well. Okay, so coming down, question 7, when designing an LLN development and support program, it is necessary to analyze the LLN requirements of the training context. Okay, read the following scenario and describe how you would analyze and evaluate the learning context. So Miho has just been employed as a graphic artist. She's very bright and quick to learn, but her English language and literacy skills are not as good as they should be to fulfill her role. She will need to deal with the public, but must be able to converse with colleagues and must have good reading and writing skills. Okay, so essentially what the question is asking you to think about is not just thinking about Miho, but also thinking about what are the requirements that are going to be on her for being able to effectively learn the content and effectively perform her job role. Okay, so if I was attacking this question, I would probably put something like, within her role, she will probably be required to do the following. In the category of learning, she'll be required to do this. Reading, she'll be required to do this. Writing, oral communication, and numeracy. And in the training, the key areas that we would need to support are this and this, based on what we can see. And then you may even talk about if her role ever grew within the, what is she in the role of a graphic artist, she may need to think about X, Y, Z. Okay, so we're really focusing on the broader context, not just Miho, if that makes sense. Okay, so you really want to unpack the job role and the requirements that would be on her in terms of the 5 core skills. Now, you don't have to include the 5 core skills, but that's a good baseline and a good way to approach the question. Question 8, provide at least 2 examples of things you should consider when identifying a learner's LN background. Okay, so this could be their previous education experience. This could be how I put it, the cultural influences that may be on the person as well. What I mean by that is the oral communication, for example. Maybe they come from a culture that is quite shy, and oral communication is not a big part of how they communicate or how often they speak up, those kind of things. So if I was going to attack this question, so provide at least 2 examples of things you should consider. So I would think about, all right, their previous background in learning, their previous work experience, what other study have they done up till now? I think about, do they feel embarrassed or anxious about the LN levels? There could be a number of, even their family environment and how that was when they were growing up, what kind of LN support they've had, if they've been able to do their job up till now without any issues, or going forward, will they need any support? Lots of different things you can think about. Okay. Number 9, give at least 5 examples of factors or potential barriers that might affect a candidate's LN development progress. Okay. So number 1, like I'm just going to throw some ideas out there. So it could be things like self-esteem. It could be access to mentors and LN specialists. It could be confidence. It could be affordability. It could be the other students in the class, and it could be how safe the person feels speaking up. It could be let's see, how often the coach and mentor checks in with the learner. It could be the effectiveness of the program itself. It could be the access to funding. It could be digital literacy. Okay, so there's lots of different things that could come into play. All right. So number 10, in determining the learner's current LN skill levels, you will need to use a range of assessment tools. Describe the function of the following types of assessments. So generic tasks, industry-specific tasks, multi-level assessment tasks. Okay, so you could certainly Google each of these, but essentially you should be able to answer that question without too much help there. Okay, question 11, when designing strategies to develop LN skills, there are a number of essential aspects that must be considered and included. Provide at least 3 examples. Okay, when designing strategies to develop LN skills, there are a number of essential aspects that must be considered and included. Okay, so first thing I would consider is, what is the learning outcome? What is the learner actually looking to do? So number 1 could be thinking about the outcome. Okay, number 2 could be, what would be the best resources to make that happen. Okay, and so it could be people, it could be actual websites, it could be all different things. But so number one was the objective, number two is the resources to make it happen, and number three could be the support people that would be optimal in supporting that learner. Okay. Coming down, question 12, explain what is meant by the term spiky profile and how can it be used to assist in the development of LN training and support strategy? Well, if you Google spiky profile, you're going to find a good explanation around it, but essentially it is the graphic illustration of the LN requirements for a unit of competency and a learner's ability. Okay, and by showing it graphically, we're able to identify quickly and easily the areas of extra support that's required and the areas where a learner may be doing quite fine and doesn't need any extra support at all. So definitely Google spiky profile. But generally every single human on the planet will have a spiky profile because that's just the nature of humans, right? No human is a level 5 across all of the 5 core skills, okay? Hopefully, as I say, 5 core skills, you know what I'm talking about. If you are unfamiliar with the 5 core skills, just shoot me an email and I'll send you through a chart that can really help you understand the 5 core skills and some other supporting documents on the ACSF. But by the time you're doing this unit, I'd imagine that you would have some understanding of what the 5 core skills are. Okay. 13, provide 3 strategies that can be used to develop effective reading skills. This is one that you can Google. Okay, so literally go to Google and type in support strategies for reading skills and see what comes up. Okay. 14, provide at least 4 strategies that can be used to develop effective writing skills. Again, go to Google and type in support strategies for writing skills. Okay. Coming down, 15, refer back to scenario in question 7, that's Mihal. Developing Mihal's language and literacy skills. Describe how the ACF performance level indicators can be used to help design a training assessment program to build her skills. Include how you would evaluate and improve her skills in terms of support, context and text complexity and task complexity. Okay, so what I suggest that you do is go back to the scenario, have a think about what would be the requirements for her job role, and then also think about, well, what are her current skills, and you may need to make some guesses about that, and then think about based on the ACSF, what level indicators would you give her? Again, you may need to presuppose some things on that, and then think about, okay, well, how would you develop a program to support her based on what the indicators are? Okay. Coming down, 16, there are many sources of information and assistance for LN development. List at least 3 that are relevant to your organization. Okay. Now, whether you've got the resources or not, just imagine you did, because at diploma level, you need to be thinking outside the box and thinking about what if and could we, is it possible to, if we don't have, what could we use? All right, that's kind of like high level cognitive thinking. Okay, because a Cert 4 person would say, oh, we don't have any, and then give up. Diploma level person would say, all right, well, we don't have any, but if we did have any, what would be great and how could we source that and how could we create a new possibility? Okay, so there are many sources of information. So what you could do here for this question, you could say, all right, well, we've got LN support people on staff, all right, or maybe we've got an ESL department, or maybe there's some ESL like English as a second language schools that we could send people to around the corner. Maybe there are some websites that we could recommend. Maybe we have simplified handouts, so to speak. Okay, so just think about any resources and sources of information. Okay. 17, give an example of how an existing assessment tool or LN resource might be modified to better suit the organizational candidate needs. Okay, so just think about one that you already have and think about how could it be even more tailored to an audience that you have. Okay. 18, an LN training assessment program should be implemented in much the same way as any other vocational education program, with just as much care and attention to detail. Describe the steps you might take to implement your program. So in this, we're kind of looking at, well, what are the factors that lead to a successful training program? Okay, so for me, I'm thinking consistent monitoring. I'm thinking good quality milestones. I'm thinking clear and concise resources provided. I'm thinking mentors provided. I'm thinking that it's done in a compliant manner. I'm thinking that it is well planned and organized. I'm thinking that, what else? It is affordable for the RTO. All right. I'm thinking that it has access to the best specialists in the field, and it incorporates subject matter expert opinions and different things. Okay. Coming down, question 19, explain why it is important to monitor a learner's progress and describe methods by which this could be achieved. Okay, so essentially we could talk about informal observation. We could talk about regular LLA tests. We could talk about feedback from other trainers. We could talk about feedback from LLM specialists, okay? And we could say all of those things will lead to us being able to better support our learners, and they're going to be able to guide the approaches that we take, okay? You can certainly expand on that a little bit more, okay? Question 20. In order to monitor progress as effectively as possible, you need to seek support and feedback from a range of stakeholders in the program, including specialist support. Provide 3 examples of such stakeholders and what specialist support might entail. Okay, so as I mentioned in the previous question, we were talking about the LN specialist being involved. Let's see. You could talk about cultural liaison officers. You could talk about the workplace supervisors being involved. You could talk about if it's a trainee, then maybe you want to get the traineeship advisor involved. Okay, all these different support personnel. Another stakeholder could just be the academic manager at the RTO or the LN specialist at the RTO. Okay, so coming down, 21, reviewing the performance of a strategy is all about asking questions. There's 5 questions that should be asked to judge the quality of the strategy. I just added that in, but essentially these are 5 questions you would ask to either the learner or to yourself to judge if the program is working or not that you've set up for a learner. So number 1 could be, what were the LN levels when we first started? Another question could be, was the progress consistent and smooth over time? Were the objectives reached? What other support could have been provided? Was the support provided successful or not, and why? How else could we have supported the learner? Okay, and many other questions that you can think about there. Question 22, provide a list of at least 5 possible professional development opportunities you could undertake to enhance your LN practice. So definitely one of them could be undertake the foundation skills training qualification or skill set. Another one could be go to LN workshops, and you could find a couple online and then list them here. You could, what else? You could mentor, you could network with other LN specialists, LN support people, and just if there's any other ideas that come to mind there. Okay. 23, describe 3 advantages of continually improving your LN practice. Okay. Well, number one, you feel more confident to actually support learners. Number two, your learners are going to get better results. Three, your RTO can rely on you to support the learners. More learners are going to be successful in the qualifications. They're going to feel more confident. Lots of different advantages there. 24, explain the importance of and benefits of providing assistance and advice to less experienced team members. Okay. So pretty self-explanatory, should be fine on that one. Okay, and that's the end of the short answer questions. Okay, so coming down, we've got the workplace project. Okay, and there's not too much to this, and you should be okay with it, but if you aren't, just let us know, and we'll give you further examples, further guidance, and even case studies if you need it. Okay, but a workplace project involves you providing evidence of the following things. Okay, so let me just read through it. To achieve competence in this unit, you're required to determine the LN levels of at least 5 learners using validated tools, including those based on the ACSF. You must also compare these to ACS levels for the training these individuals will require. Okay, so essentially we need copies of the 5 tools used to gather information to determine the LLN levels of at least 5 different learners. So you can use your own LLN tools that you may already have in your organization, or you can use other LLN tools from, for example, Precision Consultancy, or another company that you know about, or Robot LLN, or LLN Robot, whatever it's called. And then evidence of the requirements of the training training based on the ACSF skill set. So what I recommend that you do is do an analysis of the at least 2 or 3 units that are in the qualification that you teach, and write up a bit of a summary about the requirements for that unit, and then create a Spikey profile. Okay, that's just like the easiest and the clearest way to do it. Okay, so create a Spikey profile for those 5 learners. Okay. Next, planning, training, and assessment that incorporates LLN support strategies relevant to at least 2 different groups of learners in response to ACSF assessment and learner's goal. In this part, you must provide evidence of the planning for training assessment that incorporates strategies for at least 2 individuals. The evidence may include training plans, session plans, and assessment plans that specify identified LLN skills being targeted by the strategy. Okay, so essentially what I suggest people do is create 2 session plans, so 1 session plan per learner, and show how you have modified it to cater for the LLN difficulties or challenges that learner has. Okay, now it could be a training plan, it could be a session plan, or an assessment plan. And you just need to show us how you've modified the plan to meet that learner's needs. All right, the learners we're talking about are the 5 up here. Okay, so you pick any of the 2 learners, and you just create a training plan or a session plan or assessment plan, and you modify it based on their needs. Okay, cool. So next is evidence of self-reflective practice. Okay, so evidence for this part will include notes, diaries, emails, or other evidence collected as part of the portfolio that clearly and unambiguously note your reviewing of the strategy performance and ideas for improvement for at least 2 strategies, 1 used by you, 1 strategy of others. This should be also supported by a third-party report. Okay, so essentially this can be a couple of emails back and forth between you and colleagues, or it could be a self-reflection email sent to your manager, or even just a report that you write out. That's totally fine. And it needs to reflect on maybe even how successful those sessions were when you ran those sessions with those 2 learners up the top there. Okay. So part 3, we've got the third-party report. That's going to be filled out by your supervisor. Okay. And they're going to sign it, and we fill out the last part there. Okay, but that essentially is the end of the unit. So we got the short answer questions at the beginning, and then we've got the evidence that you are going to compile. So hopefully that makes sense for you. If you've got any challenges at all, if you're not sure what anything means and what I've said, just let me know. All right. So on that note, hopefully that's been helpful. And as always, just reach out if you need anything at all.